Thank you, guys. I don't know what it is in my head. Everything has to go back to a movie at some level. And so this one came in my head just because of faith and Leap of Faith. There's a movie with Steve Martin where he's kind of a charlatan preacher that goes out and has these big tent revivals of healings and whatnot, but he's a fake and a phony. God works anyway, right? And actually some things out of that play a role in the rest of this, so it kind of it fell into it. But one of the things I want to bring up first and foremost, even in my early Christian walk in college and whatnot, you'd have talks and debates with people. And one of the things that one of the challenges that people present to you and say, you just have faith. Okay? That's one of the things brought from non-believers to Christians, that you just live by faith alone, and that's all you have. Well, my response to that is, everyone lives by faith. It's just faith in what? From the basic thing is this, right? This chair right here, right? I'm 6'3", 270 pounds. Exactly. I knew Chris would like that one. If I sit in that chair, all of the evidences of me being here is I've been in the room, I've seen the chair, I've seen the chair hold Chris. Okay? I'm pretty certain if I sit in that chair, it's going to hold me up. Right? And if I sit down in it, I'm acting on my faith. And it held me up. We all live by faith. We get on airplanes and by faith saying it's going to take me to Chicago and it's not going to take you to Miami. Okay? I want to get through just that initial concept that this world is based on faith. Everything we do has a basis in evidences that prove to me why I make that decision. You get in a car and you turn on a key and you don't believe the car is going to blow up. Why? Because the evidences show you that car will start most of the time and reliably get you where you need to go. Okay? Let's put faith aside for a second, saying faith is something we all live by. It's just the object of the faith that you're there. I wanted to bring that up first because we're going to get into some lies that faith tends to tell us out of this. So if you grab your Bibles, we are in Ephesians. We're at the end of Ephesians. We're in the armor of God section. So we're in Ephesians 6. And we're at the spiritual warfare side, right? I'm going to read from 10 through 20 real quick just to give us back the context of where we're at. Finally, be strengthened by the Lord and by his vast strength. Put on the full armor of God so that you can stand against the tactics of the devil. For our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the world powers of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavens. This is why you must take up the full armor of God, so that you may be able to resist the evil day, and having prepared everything to take your stand. Stand therefore with truth like a belt around your waist, righteousness like armor on your chest, your feet sandaled with readiness of the gospel of peace. In every situation, take the shield of faith, and with it you will be able to extinguish the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is God's word. With every prayer and request, pray at all times in the Spirit and stay alert in this with all perseverance and intercession for all the saints. Pray also for me, that my message may be given to me when I open my mouth and make known with boldness the mystery of the gospel. I pray for that myself. For this I am an ambassador in chains. Pray that I might be bold enough to him to speak as I should. We've been through the belt of truth, girding up your loins, tightening up the areas, knowing truth, and making sure that keeps you together in this world. The breastplate of righteousness, protecting your heart. The gospel of peace, what you stand in. Knowing peace in this life because of God. And finally, we're in faith. with all these, having taken up the shield of faith, with which you will be able to quench all the flaming arrows of the evil one. That's particularly where we're at. Now, commentators that I've been reading really focused on two big areas of this, and it was like almost every single commentary I read did this. It was kind of weird, and I went, I guess I'm going to talk about it. The opening verse 16, with all these, who has a New King James or a King James Bible? Okay. What is the opening verse of 16? What does it say? Above all. That's it. The commentators basically, our world has been so dominated with the authorized versions of the King James, the New King James, etc. Commentators made it a point to point out that when he said above all in the opening, he wasn't saying faith is better than the first three, okay? He was saying with all of these, now we move on to this. So commentators across the board almost universally pointed that out. And so now our newer translations basically say with all these, or along with, in addition to, what's that, NIV? NIV? Yeah. In addition to. So you what? In all circumstances. Which one's that one? ESV, yes, in all circumstances. Okay? With all of these, so alongside all of these, is now the shield of faith. Now, the shield of faith, what they also brought out was the shield they were talking about is not the little bitty shield that you would carry on your left arm like you see gladiators carry, right? Kind of the round, circular one, that you would move with and battle with. Talking much more about the Roman shield, the 4-foot shield, 2 feet wide, that they would use as kind of a wall as defense, right? And they could present this wall together and I think they call it a phalanx yes. And they would present this and people would just beat against it for all intents and purposes. And that's how they protected themselves. Now, was that shield made of metal? No, it was not. Good try. But no, it was not. It was actually a wooden shield that was protected with leather on the outside. So the leather on the outside, and then they would kind of coat it with pitch, kind of a tar type substance, because in some translations it says flaming arrows, right? Well, if you go back to war times and those times when they would send artillery, what was their artillery? Arrows. And what was usually those arrows associated with? What was on the arrows? Fire. So they had a way in which those shields, the arrow would penetrate into the shield, but it would not catch the shield on fire, so to speak. So they were fireproof, right? And they had that shield up. So commentators were pointing out that these were the large shields protecting them against all of the darts and the flaming arrows coming down upon them. That's the whole idea of the shield of faith. Now, if we look at that in our context, how many different darts, arrows, things are coming against us on a day-to-day basis? A lot. in every way. And question is this: does that shield always protect us? Do we always use the shield properly? No, we do not. But it's there for us in what we're looking at. The idea of faith in itself, let's go to Hebrews 11 real quick. What is this faith that is our shield? And that's really the crux of what I'm going to be talking about. The lies that with subtle things that the arrows have been coming against to damage our faith, to bring our faith down. So we're just going to start off with a simple definition of faith. And it's probably the most popular one in Scripture. Hebrews 11:1, right? Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. That is how I've memorized it. That's the version I've kind of memorized in my head. Language is a tricky thing. It plays on us all the time. It plays on me all the time. one of the things I did, one of my earliest times I did teaching was with my dad's church when it was over on Rosser in Prescott. This was 10 years ago, 12 years ago. I actually went through several different versions of this verse trying to get to an idea of what it really is saying to us. I'm going to show you three. This is the New King James Version, the one that's kind of the most, thought about from my standpoint. But how about this? This is called the Disciples, the Disciples Literal New Testament. I call this the Ing Bible. Reason I call this the Ing Bible is everything is ing. Being, doing, living, be believing. It's present tense all the time. It's giving us that, because a lot of times we say, believe and you will be saved, right? That's kind of how we say, but there's kind of a connotation of future in that believe, that there's a future tense there. The Disciples' Literal New Testament will actually translate that as be believing and you will be saved, okay? So it's giving you this current, right now, be believing stage of what it's doing. So that's why I've defined it as the Ing Bible, because it does all of this in the Ing. So in terms of this, I brought this out. So Hebrews 11:1 in the Disciples' Literal New Testament. Now, faith is the assurance of things being hoped for, the conviction of things not being seen. Now we're starting to approach a little bit of the context what it is, and then I really do kind of like the New Living Translation version of it. New Living Translation is kind of our language. It may not be the best, but it is kind of the best I like to read out of, because it does read in a language that kind of gets it right out there to us. Faith shows the reality of what we hope for. It is the evidence of things we cannot see. What's being hoped, what we cannot see. This is the definition of faith that we're talking about in the shield of faith. But the problem we have as Christians is there's all kinds of different ways in which people look at faith. Do they not? There are errors in which cause great problems corporately and in our personal lives that basically start penetrating that shield and getting through to us. So I want to get to the first dart and arrow, so to speak, in the idea of faith. Your best life now. Okay? The origin of this lie is not new. This is not a new concept. This goes all the way back to Adam and Eve, right? And the idea is this. The beginning of this idea is, if I do good, what happens to me? Good things happen. If I do bad, what happens? Bad things happen, okay? Is there some truth to that concept? Sure. Are there consequences to sin? Yes, okay? If I go out and run a red light, what's one of the consequences of running the red light? I get a ticket and/or I get hit by a car, ultimately, right? There are consequences of those things. But in the Old Testament times, all the way up to Jesus' time, this concept of good things happen if you did good, bad things happen if you did bad, morphed into a way of life that many of the people of that time lived by, particularly the Pharisees. The Pharisees, Sadducees, religious leaders, took it to say, we must be good because all good things are happening to us because we are the top of the line. Actually, the term, I think, was Sherahim. Sherahim, which means they were the ultimate arbiters of law. They were ultimate arbiters of what was true. Everyone else was the Amharitz, or the people of the land. They were the common folk. They didn't have that kind of thing, right? Something must have happened bad in that person's life to make them a shepherd, because that shepherd's unclean and can't be a part of our religious life the way we have it. They must have something wrong with them, because I'm good. I'm the leader. I'm the one that's being proclaimed. Everybody tells me how good of a job I do. I have all the nice seats. I have all the great seats in the synagogue. I have all the great wealth. Everything's good about me, right? That philosophy penetrated into all of their life. So much so that when Jesus was teaching his disciples, they asked him the question, well, who sinned? This man or his parents that made him blind, right? That concept permeated everything. In fact, a lot of what Jesus was doing in his teaching was trying to break them of those concepts that they had just held on to for so long. Because he said, no one sinned. This was for the glory of God, guys. As we moved through the Middle Ages, the Catholic Church certainly dominated from 400 AD till 1600 AD, right? And the concept was almost very similar in the same. You do good, good things happen. You do bad, bad things happen. As we move into the modern times, we've gotten away from that a little bit, but what it's morphed into is, if you just have enough faith, you can live your best life. And better yet, your best life when? Now. It just takes enough faith. What are the problems with that? Say, what was that? Our best life is later. Do you want the microphone? That was awesome. He just cut it right to the chase. That was amazing. Because if our best life is now, then what's later? It's going to be hell. This is not our home. But guys, even in this life, the subtlety of that lie is that do great things happen to you all the time, all the way through your life? No. Particularly as you age. I played golf yesterday. I got sunburned, and I am sore in places I've never been sore before because I'm 51 years old. So, okay? Most of the people have no sympathy here for that. But age brings on a whole new set of circumstances, does it not? You don't feel great. When you're sick, when relationships are tearing apart in your life, all of those things have an effect on you. And if you believe that it just takes enough faith, the lie is, well, then I don't have enough faith right now, and you become discouraged in the life that's sitting there before you. Now, context is everything. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. But you know what I haven't seen a lot of? People don't teach the 2 paragraphs before that. Because we have chapter breaks. We get Hebrews 11:1 and we make this the verse. Let's see what was 2 paragraphs before that, right? But you must continue to remember those earlier days, how after you were enlightened, you endured a hard and painful struggle. At times, you were made a public spectacle by means of insults and persecutions, while at other times you associated with people who were treated this way. So not only were you associated with people that were treated that way, now you have the sympathy with them. For you sympathized with the prisoners and cheerfully submitted to the violent seizure of your property. That's your best life now, because you know that you have a better and more permanent possession. So don't lose your confidence, since it holds a great reward for you. For you need endurance, so that after you have done God's will, you can receive what he has promised. For in a very little while, the one who is coming will return. He will not delay. But my righteous one will live by faith. And if he turns back, my soul will take no pleasure in him. Now, we don't belong to those who turn back and are destroyed, but to those who have faith and are saved. Faith shows the reality of what we are hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Whole different world than this is your best life now. And it puts a meaning to what's going on now. And how do you endure? How do you get by? And you have faith. Faith, hope. Hope for what? The times to come. Our best life is not now, guys. Our best life is coming. And it's a great life. Yes, you do. Yes. Second lie, the lie of perfection. When we get into, all this came out of Hebrews 11 for me, or 10, 11, and 12, really. The hall of faith. So the rest of Hebrews 11 gets into the hall of faith, does it not? It commends Abel over Cain. It commends, Abraham and Sarah. It commends Jacob, Moses, Isaiah, David, even at some point. Okay. The lie that we tend to tell ourselves is you have to be super special in your faith to achieve something great. You have to be perfect in your faith. All of those guys, at some level in our humanness, we see them as something up here and we are down here. That's generally the human perspective of how we see those legendary people in our heads, right? It's a legend type thing. But the reality of those people is this. Let's talk about Abraham and Sarah for a second. What were they promised? Child. A nation. And they had faith that it was going to happen, right? What did Sarah do to show her faith about this? She gave Abraham her handmaiden, Hagar. Right? So much faith. Really believing here. And I don't know about you guys, but how about a sinful mistake that you made and your jealousy causing a cultural conflict for 4,000 years? Still going on, guys. There's a war right now happening because of Isaac and Ishmael. That's a pretty big mistake. It's a pretty big lapse in faith. Yet Hebrews 11 continues to commend what? Their faith. Jacob. Jacob was known as what? Okay. He was a deceiver, a trickster. Right from the beginning, what did it say that he did in the womb? He grabbed the heel of Esau as he came out. What did he do to Esau later in his life? Stole his birthright. How he got his wives, plural, and or how he got his animals, his fortune, all of it was through deception. The children that he had, what were the children that Jacob had? Judah, Ephraim, the 12 tribes of Israel, right? Were those good guys? Right? Who? Joseph. But even Joseph himself played a trick on his brothers, did he not? But his brothers, his 11 brothers, beat him, put him in a thing for dead, and sold him into slavery. Judah was known for some less than extracurricular activities with Tamar, his daughter-in-law, or supposed to be his daughter-in-law. Right? Not good dudes, guys. Yet, the faith that Jacob had was what? shown, elevated in Hebrews 11. How about Moses? Moses both was a murderer, he was an angry man, and every time God told him to do something, he kind of was a whiner. He was the Luke Skywalker of the Bible. Okay? And what was the end result for him? What consequence did he ultimately achieve? He didn't go into the promised land. And the Hall of Faith recognizes Rahab. Was Rahab Jewish? Nope. And what was she by profession? Yet, Hebrews 11 talks about her faith. All of these people died having faith. They did not receive the things that were promised, yet they saw them in the distant future and welcomed them, acknowledging that they were strangers and foreigners on earth. My point to you is this, guys. Is your faith always here? No. When me and Will get up here, guys, it's not, every week is not the Super Bowl Sunday for us. We've had conversations and talks. We've had lowlights and highlights, stresses, just like anybody else. And when you go through life, your relationship with your spouse, is it going to be here when you walk into church? No. What about your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your friends, your relationships? Or just how you feel? Because how you feel is going to really affect how much you're seeing, how much your understanding of your faith. We don't live on the faith mountaintop. And that's okay. But how does Jesus describe faith? What does he say some of the greatest faith is like? Mustard seed, and ultimately a faith like a, right? Sometimes, and really, the ultimate faith presented to us is the simple, childlike faith reserved for children. And guys, one of the groups that I really have a heart for is special needs kids. Special needs kids, I say kids because they become adults, and they just have faith, and they don't have to have a reason. They didn't know the chair would hold them up, but they just know God. Many people in the Bible were commended for their faith by Jesus, and several of them were desperate. It said 2 blind men were following, saying, "Son of God, heal us. Son of God, heal us." Did they know that Jesus could absolutely do it 100%? No, they were desperate. They had nowhere else to turn. And yet Jesus says, that's the kind of faith I want. Sometimes us going to God is in desperation. And God is wonderful with that. He says, bring it. Because we are not always on the mountaintop. Again, faith shows you the reality of what we hope. And it's the evidence of what we can't see. The lies we assume. We assume a lot. Read this verse, and we'll talk about some of those assumptions. Very truly I tell you, whoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing, and they will do even greater things than these because I am going to the Father. Now, my human assumptions of this verse for years, until recently. I always looked at this like, okay, well, the apostles came after Jesus, and they did these great works too. These greater works. What do you mean greater? Well, what were the works of Jesus? What did Jesus do while he was on earth? Healed, raised the dead, went on water, fed umpteen thousands of people. Yep. He did all kinds of great things that we would consider massive if we saw today over and over again, right? For many, many people. By the way, were all of them believers? No. In fact, he actually tells a story. He healed 10 lepers, and only one came back and actually thanked him for it. Right? Interesting about this verse, though, they will do even greater things. So the apostles came around. How many of the apostles' miracles are really recorded? Think about it for a second. Not a lot. You don't see it. There are some, right? It talks about healing a blind man here, healing a crippled person here. But we don't hear about these great miracles of the apostles per se, mainly in Acts, and it gives us that. But after that, it's not about that. What are the greater things? All of those miracles that Jesus performed here on earth, outside of one, was what? Outside of the resurrection. All of them had this one thing in common. They're temporary. The healing of a person. He fed them. He showed them signs. But every one of them, what happened in life? They got sick later and died. They got hungry at some other point. He fed them, and yet they were hungry again. Right? All of those signs that Jesus did were temporary. So what are the greater signs? What are the greater miracles? I'm standing in a room full of them. These are the miracles in life. And guys, we don't celebrate them. We see miracles as something like Steve Martin making these big, tent revivals and healing people and all of that stuff. Those are temporary miracles. No, we haven't. These are temporary miracles that happen. But the relationships that I've seen healed, the hearts that I have seen changed, the lives that have completely reversed from where they were before. That is the greatest miracle of mankind. It says, "For you have been saved by grace through faith. And it is not from yourself, it is what? God's gift." His gift to you is the greatest miracle we can ever experience, and we experience together every single day. And we just take it for granted. I'm asking, don't live by those lies of faith, because they're just lies. Your life's going to be a roller coaster, is it not? But it says, Jamie put it, faith, hope, and love. And the greatest is love. Why? Because seeing each other, living life with Josh, living life with Steve, living life with Chris. The love expressed to me, the encouragement expressed to me, gives me greater faith and even a greater hope about what is to come. The writer of Hebrews ends. Kind of ends, but I like the ending here. Hebrews 12. With all of that, therefore, having so great a cloud of witnesses surrounding us and throwing off everything that hinders us, and especially the sin that so easily entangles us, let us what? Keep running with endurance the race set before us. fixing our attention on Jesus, who is the pioneer and perfecter of your faith. He brings you. He is the author. He is the finisher. You are not. Who in view of the joy set before him, lived his best life while he was on earth. No. Endured the cross, disregarding its shame, and he sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. And he saved you, and he saved me, and he brought us together in love. Worship team, come on up. Search out in your heart where the lies of faith have harmed you. Where the darts are coming in is the best way of putting it. Because they're flying around all over the place. And they're going to attack you when you're high. When you're high, they're going to attack you in your ego. When you're low, they're going to attack you in your despair. The one certainty is you're going to constantly be attacked. That is a certainty. Look for your best life then. That's what it means to finish the race. Let me pray. Father, we love you, we praise you, and we thank you because you are the author and perfecter of our faith, not us. It's not our good, it's not our bad. We don't have to be perfect in our faith. In fact, it's pretty much guaranteed we're not going to be. Show us and give us a sense of your overwhelming glory of what's going to come. All those people came before us. All these people are before us. Let us share that faith, that hope, and ultimately that love that brings on that encouragement in all of our lives through pain, trials, conflict, and even great times. Because sometimes the biggest attacks comes when things seem to be great. Shape our faith. Perfect it like you want to. We love you and praise you for your son's name.
Let's sing a